What is going on, everybody? Welcome to your Before the Battle Wrigley Field Wildcat Hunting edition of the Coach and the Couch Potato, brought to you by the Barn Baseball and Softball Academy and Cornerstone Home Remodeling. As always, I am Jeremy the Couch Potato. Opposite side of the screen, we got Coach Slate. Middle of the week, busy week. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. Parent-teacher conferences, get to check in with the teachers, see how the Slater girls are doing. It's always good when you hear that, although they may be crazy at home, that they're well behaved in school. So that
Yes.
always is a good feeling. Obviously, with Jaden, teachers always had great things to say about him, and so it was nice to know that our girls at school take care of business. The preschool teacher did say MJ is a little sassy, and she will roll her eyes at things she doesn't like.
I
But they
love
love,
it.
they said they love it, man. So that was good to hear, man. So I'm glad they're doing well. How about you, man?
Good. Actually, the Buckeye game might not be overly exciting this weekend, but we got a big combat sports weekend, so I'm pretty excited on that front. We
Yeah,
we got the man Jake Paul and Iron Mike tomorrow night. We
yeah,
got John Jones and Cleveland's own Stipe on Saturday night. I mean, it's
yeah.
a good weekend. You know, get it ready for the heartbreak of the Browns, probably finding a way to lose to the Saints on Sunday.
Probably.
So yeah,
How do you, how do you how do you feel about Mike Tyson and Jake Paul?
it's one of those things. I haven't looked at the rules yet because it's a Jake Paul fight. There's going to be some crazy rules
Absolutely.
that are going to put Mike Tyson at a legitimate disadvantage. Uh, I mean, if they go straight boxing, Mike Tyson's going to kill him.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know that I'd take $1 million to take a right hook from Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely wouldn't take a right hook from Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's one of my favorite athletes of all time. And so it's one of those things where it's like, man, I can't believe Mike Tyson is fighting. Then
At
you remember
58 years
he's
old.
58 years old. And so Jake Paul, I mean, he's a big dude. I think he means well by the sport of boxing.
Oh yeah,
I think he's trying to do some good things. I like the undercard that he put together for this, like with some
yes,
actual real fighters, which is cool.
yes.
That's really good. And so I think he's trying to do it the right way. I would like to see Mike Tyson knock him out, but I just hope it's entertaining and it's worth every penny for Mike Tyson at 60 years old to go out there and do this fight. So it'll be interesting, man.
Yeah,
I
and
worry,
definitely
man.
a cool model that I think you're going to see more of. With it being on Netflix, with no additional fee to subscribers, though.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Like I'll actually watch it. I'm not going to pay to watch boxing, but
Yeah.
um, and I'll give the Pauls, like you said, mad credit. Jake's doing his thing in boxing. Logan Paul, I'm sure most of our audience has no idea. Logan Paul has kind of became a WWE superstar.
Yeah.
And the dude is a natural. Like, everybody that's listening to this has probably watched a wrestling match, aside from our friend John Ratliff. Um, but Logan Paul is one of the most naturally gifted dudes I've ever watched. So that should be good. And I hope Stipe catches Jones on the chin and puts him to sleep and brings the gold back to the land.
Yeah, it'd be pretty
Uh,
sweet.
and speaking of the land, real quick before we get into the game, how about your Cleveland Cavaliers?
Dude, undefeated. Here we go.
80. They don't play 82 anymore, though.
Yeah.
What is it? 76?
I think it's 76.
76-0 on deck. Let's go.
Yep.
Run it
Let's
back.
go.
I did see an Oregon, I think it was an Oregon thing tying to the year the Cavs won the title. They were number 1 and lost on the road or something.
Okay.
So we'll see. Speaking of being on the road, though, the home team goes to Chicago, but we are not going to Evanston. We are going to downtown Chi-Town, Wrigley Field. I had mixed feelings about this at first, but we were talking before we hit record. The venue looks really cool.
Oh yeah.
Little worried about the end zone that's right against the right field wall. But if you look at a zoomed in picture, I think there's enough room there that it should be okay.
Yeah.
And the environment, I think, will be cool. I think it'll be a lot of Buckeye fans, a lot of people that have never got to watch anything at Wrigley. I'm excited to see that part about the footing. I still have reservations because we've seen footing issues all year on football fields.
Yeah.
Let alone a baseball field.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's I might be in the minority here, but I think it's a pretty cool idea. It's a historic venue. You're Northwestern, you're in a tough spot, right? You're rebuilding your stadium, which, by the way, their new indoor, holy smokes, right on the lake. Oh my gosh, Ross Bjork. Hey, we gotta step it up, man. Northwestern can't have better facilities than Ohio State.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I think it's pretty cool. It's something that the players won't forget. And I think with the compact size of the venue, I think it will be loud, especially if the Buckeyes travel the way that I think they will. I just think it makes for a really cool thing. There's some logistical things I don't like about it, like halftime, the Buckeyes not being able to go to a locker, which I think is weird. That's like real high school like stuff. Like they're really legitimately going into like a dugout, and so now I don't know, like what out through the dugout, does it lead to like a small clubhouse type thing? You know what I mean? Like I don't know what the setup is will be for that, but logistically that could be a little bit of an issue. But I think it's a cool idea. And when you're building a new stadium and you can't play, you got to get creative. And so I think it's a nice way to make some money for them and and to get to play in this historic place. Like I think it's so cool to see the ivy, like I just think that's cool. So it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, in the day and age of jumbotrons and everything, to throw it back and go to Wrigley is cool.
Yeah.
And Chicago is not a far drive, so I think the Buckeyes will travel extremely well.
Yeah.
Northwestern comes in 4-5. I don't know that they're as good as that record, as bad as that sounds. Close game over a pretty decent Miami of Ohio. 2 OTs with Duke, beat Eastern Illinois, 24-5 to Washington. Interesting score there. Scored 24 on the vaunted Hoosiers that we will see next week.
Mm-hmm.
Beat Maryland 23-3 Wisconsin. Gave up 40 to Iowa, though. That's pretty crazy. And then went to overtime with Purdue. And we kind of saw what Purdue's about last week, so there's no reason to really give them any benefit of the doubt, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, Northwestern is one of those programs, man, like obviously, with the situation with Coach Fitzgerald and him not being there and being forced to resign, they had always built that mindset of being, the kind of like the underdogs and they're just going to fight. And it led them to some Big Ten championship games. Obviously, a few years ago when we had Trey Sermon, the COVID year, we played them in the Big Ten championship. And so I have a lot of respect for this program. Obviously, they're recruiting like a very high academic type of kid. And so to be able to compete while maybe not always getting the best talent, it's something I've always respected. I just think in this game, they're really going to be outmatched, but there is a connection to the city of Marion on the roster. So if you're a true Marionaire, the GOAT, Chris Wallace, quarterback, baseball player, play for the Yankees or the Reds, basketball player of the year in all three sports. His son, Garner Wallace, is a junior, 4th-year junior on Northwestern's roster right now. And so it'll be nice to see, somebody that's got some ties to Marion. He's a defensive back, real big kid, 6'3", 220-pound defensive back. He wears number 18. And so if you see him out there, know that he is the son of the Harding legend, Chris Wallace. And so it'll be pretty cool to see him out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And another tie to Ohio, one of the very few times that you've had a player go to a school, transfer, and then go back to the original school. And another Ohio kid, Nigel Glover, who transfers from Northwestern, came to the Buckeyes for a year and is back at Northwestern.
Yeah.
A Dayton area kid, linebacker. As you're seeing with what we're getting out of the linebackers this year, it kind of makes sense why he went back. And you hit on the character of kids at Northwestern, and I think sometimes it's just a better fit.
Yeah.
And so nothing wrong there. This roster doesn't wow you. And I say that in the most respectful way. It's not like you're sitting here playing against a bunch of kids that you recruited.
Yeah.
There are a few, and like with Gabe Van Sickle on the Buckeyes roster, he was a Northwestern commit at one point, I believe.
Yep.
So there's ties. They do a couple things well. They statistically are the worst offense in the league. Let's just get that out of the way.
Yeah.
19.22 points a game. When you look at the yardage, they're averaging 112 on the ground, 11 rushing touchdowns. Passing, you are getting 176 a game, but only 5 passing touchdowns. And that's through 9 games.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a team who is trying to get to being bowl eligible, right? So one of the things that this program has had to overcome is obviously losing Pat Fitzgerald a couple years ago and trying to get back to kind of where he had the program at before. Northwestern was a pretty respectable program, and so they're sitting at 4 wins. And, they're in the season with the Buckeyes, with Michigan, and with Illinois. So for them, it's going to be 3 tough games. But can they find a way to steal 2 of them, right? I think they're going to be outmatched in this game, but I think, put it all together, I think the last 2 weeks are winnable games. And so they're going to be hungry because they want to be able to play in the postseason and get a bowl game. And so I think they're going to come out ready to go. I just think their offense is just lacking for explosion. Obviously, they put up 37 points on Maryland, but other than that, I mean, Washington held them to 5 points. Wisconsin held them to 3 points. The Purdue game was in overtime. They won 26-20. Obviously, you saw what we did to Purdue. So I think this could get pretty ugly, but I definitely think they're going to be ready to go because it's the Buckeyes and everybody, who plays the Buckeyes gives us their best. And so it'll be interesting to see what kind of trickery and things that they try to come up with to really steal some points.
Yeah, they are actually pretty decent defensively against the run, though. That's going to be an interesting thing to see because obviously Ohio State has really embraced the run game lately.
Yeah.
Northwestern's given up 108 on the ground, but 241 a game through the air.
Yeah.
So this could definitely be a Will Howard game. And speaking of that, I kind of hope it is. There's still a very real chance, depending on how these next couple weeks play out, Will Howard could easily jump into the Heisman conversation.
No doubt.
When you look at his numbers, aside from the yardage, he's right there with Dylan Gabriel.
Yep.
Who, depending on who you're watching, is one of the top 2, we'll say, betting favorites. I still think Travis is on top. I haven't checked in a couple of days. I'll tell you who's not on top because I have to say this, is Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Cam's good, though. But
yeah.
I think at the end of the day, yes, the Heisman is an award about a player, but team matters unless, it's a situation where Colorado's got 2 L's, but you can't take away what Travis does.
Yeah.
If Will Howard goes on a run, say he throws for 4 touchdowns this week, we come out next week and we smoke Indiana with another 4 touchdowns, beat the team up north 4 touchdowns. Now the train's rolling.
Yeah.
So we'll see there, but I think the chance is there, to say the least. The run defense, I mean, like I said, you being the defensive guy, what do they do? Have you got to see much of what they bring to the table?
I have not gotten to see a lot, but the one thing that they do, they play hard. They're going to be gap sound. They're going to make sure that they're doing their assignments, and they're not going to let their mental mistakes beat them, right? You're just going to have to out physical them. You're going to have to out athlete them. Those are things that they're going to try to do. And so even under Coach Fitzgerald, they were a very disciplined defense, right? not give up the big play, try to put a cap on the defense, make you go out and earn it, kind of similar to what Iowa does. And so I think you're going to see a team that has nothing to lose. I think they're going to really work to try to shut down the run and make Will Howard be the guy that beats him. But I do think for the Buckeyes, what we need to continue to do is really do a good job of establishing that run. I think this needs to be a game where we rush for 175 plus again, and we really need to control the ball. One of the things that you've been seeing from the Buckeyes, and I was listening to another podcast that mentioned this. I think it might have been Berm or Austin Ward, so I don't want to take away from what they said, but they made such a good point in the fact that the Buckeyes have been playing more ball control football than we ever have under Ryan Day, right? And that's because, in my opinion, because we do have these two running backs with the offensive line that's playing pretty well right now, that they feel comfortable that when we get that lead, now we can really hammer home this run game, take the short intermediate throws, try to take a shot down the field when it presents itself. But we want to have long, sustained drives. Why do you think they're trying to do that? It's because I think against Indiana next week, Indiana's got a very potent offense. So what's one way you can really help out the defense? By being able to control the ball, control the line of scrimmage, right? And so that's one of the things I think they're trying to gear themselves up for. And so I really want to see the Buckeyes really hammer home the run game. It won't be like a super easy task. I think Northwestern's going to come and load the box and be ready to go. But I think the Buckeyes are really going to work hard to try to establish it. And then they'll take their shots down the field when they present themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, statistically, when you look at the roster on the defensive side, I mean, their high tackle guy has 39, which doesn't wow you by any stretch of the imagination. And they do not have crazy sack numbers. So I think you may see the reverse. Used to, we always said you would run to set up the pass. I think Ohio State's going to pass to set up the run in this game.
Yeah.
And then offensively, quarterback Jack Lausch. Looks like they've gone through kind of a revolving door at the beginning of the year. They have Ryan Helinski, who I believe is like a 5th or 6th year guy. But he's only played in 3 games. Lausch has got 5 touchdown passes to 4 picks. So not anything crazy there. So I don't know that the pass rush is going to be able to continue doing what they did last week, but it's a good chance for those guys to get some run stop stuff and go from there.
Yeah, I really think so too. And I think one of the things that you're going to see this week, just briefly thinking about the game plan, is Emeka Egbuka. I think he's going to have a big game. I think you're going to see the Buckeyes make a concerted effort to get him the ball. Obviously, last week he only had 1 catch, 1 touchdown. I think they're really going to try to push and get him the ball this week, maybe take some shots down the field, get creative with him in the backfield. And so the Northwestern defense is going to have their hands full. When it comes to Northwestern's offense, I really think the Buckeye defense is going to continue to roll. I would fully expect us to bring more of that Jack look that we saw for those 4 plays, which we'll watch here in a little bit, and you'll see that it really wasn't as bad as many people thought it was. And so you're going to see us really expand on that a little bit. And I do think you're going to see, the rotation, the Edric Houstons and those guys getting in quite a bit. And so I think it's going to be another big week for the defense. IGB obviously is going to get a pass interference call. It's going to happen. But, I think the defense is going to come ready to go. We got to keep this thing rolling. Haven't given up a touchdown in a couple games now, so we got to make sure that continues.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'll be interested to see, because we kind of hit on this we were talking about some of the freshmen and such. Bryce West lost his black stripe this week.
Yeah.
He has not played a lot, but now he may be one of those guys you're also saving for that back end of the year to not exceed those 4 games. And I believe postseason does not count.
Yeah, postseason does not count.
So I wonder if that's some strategery there on the staff's part. OG Walt doing OG Walt things.
Yeah.
Sidebar real quick. We've not talked a lot of recruiting in the last month and a half since, season really got rolling. There's been a lot of smoke out there about Naeem Offord and Auburn. I'm this close to being confident in saying we can put that to bed.
Okay.
Wilfong has came out, said he talked directly to the family, thinks that he stays. And Alford's dad absolutely clowned an Auburn fan on social media the other night.
Okay.
So, and do pay attention to what they do, not what they always say.
Yeah.
When you're doing that in the public eye, unless you're really playing the recruiting game, that's pretty telling.
Yeah.
So we're like a month away from signing day. I don't know what to expect with that one still, but just a little sidebar there. Speaking of OG Walt.
Yeah, OG Walt is the man. One thing with Bryce West, he came to the Buckeyes and he was injured. He had something with his shoulder. I remember in the spring when I went to practice, he was in a sling. And so this is a kid who has every ounce of ability. He's got position versatility. He can flat out fly. I mean, he has elite speed. And so he could play corner, he could play safety, he can play nickel. I ultimately think he ends up being a nickel for us in his future. But yeah, like you said, this is a kid who is right on par with the Aaron Scotts, and he's just underneath the Jermaine Matthews. Like, he is going to be a good player for the Buckeyes. And so to bounce back from injury, keep pounding, and then come out, get up some playing time last week. I think it's really good sign for the Buckeyes that he's going to be ready to go for this home stretch.
Yeah, and I believe Coach Day is hoping to have Kazmarek back too.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, G. Scott's played great. And you're starting to see the growth of Jelani Thurman.
Yep.
Which, again, silver lining. G's gone after this year. So now those guys kind of move up. Bennett Christian's getting meaningful reps. I'm excited to see. This is going to be another game where you're going to see some stuff probably get experimented with. You're going to see some rotations and that type of thing. I'm going to go and throw my prediction out and tell you why.
Okay.
I think the Buckeyes win. I'm going to call it 45-3.
Okay. All right.
Behind a massive game for the kid who's coming home in Carnell Tate.
Yeah. What a story. For those that don't know the situation with Carnell Tate. So Carnell Tate is from Chicago. He played football for IMG Academy, but he is from in Bradenton, Florida, but he is from the city of Chicago. Before or while he was on campus, when he first got to campus as a freshman, his mother, who is my age, she's very young, was tragically murdered in a drive-by shooting, which is insane to think about. Just the days before, she was tweeting about how proud she was of her baby being a Buckeye and things like that. And for Carnell to be where he's at right now, to deal with the tragic loss of his mom, and to see Ryan Day. I mean, Ryan Day talked about it this week in his presser, just how proud he was of Carnell for being able to persevere through that trying time. I mean, I can only imagine if something like that happened to me. Like, I would want to be home with my family, right? I would want to go back to school somewhere so I could be the protector. But through his faith and everything, he's really stuck it out with the Buckeyes, and everybody's just really wrapped their arms around him, and he has just put his head down and worked, man. And so that is just tells you the type of man that he is. So I'm sure coming home is going to be a very emotional. I'm sure he's been home since that happened, but to actually play a game in downtown Chicago, like, there's going to be a lot of emotion. And so I really hope he has a big game, man. I hope your prediction comes to fruition and he just balls out in front of his family and, gives a nice little tribute to his mom. Man, it's sad to even think about.
It is.
For me, prediction wise, I went back and forth, with the Buckeyes playing ball control. I would like to say, like, we're going to go out and score 60. But I think Buckeyes win 41-7. I think you see a ton of guys get into the game. I think Jaden Fielding comes in, kicks a couple field goals. Northwestern actually, maybe gets a stop or two. But I think the Buckeyes take control of this game early in the second quarter, into the second quarter and late into the first half, and, really just ride the wave of the running game. And so I think they win. My prediction stat-wise, I do think the offense is going to rush for 200 plus. I don't know what that looks like, whether it's Trey, but whether it's Trey having a big game or Quinshawn. But I think James Peoples is going to get in. He's going to get some yards, and Will Howard, obviously. So I think we rush for over 200 yards. We put up 41 points, and we get out there with another win.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. Carnell's mom was shot July 17th of 23. So I don't remember if he enrolled early or not, but at that point he would have been on campus anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, just unreal moment, for him. And I believe this was the 1 year or 2 year anniversary of Cameron Babb scoring his touchdown.
Yeah.
Different type of tragedy, obviously, but it's cool to see these young men who have had these trying experiences succeed. Not just in life, because they've already succeeded in life.
Yeah.
But to have success on the football field too.
Well, and one of the things, and I won't get on a tangent here, but everybody talks about NIL and how it's killing college sports and all these things. Like, listen, these are still kids. It doesn't matter how much money that you're giving them. They go through some real things. They got to persevere through some real things, man. And so, I don't care how much money you have. It takes a lot to be able to deal with the death of your mother, especially in a tragic way like that. And then, you look at these kids like I was watching this thing on Colorado center, Cash Cleveland, being a walk-on, being super undersized, but man, Dion trusts him to no end. And, he's out there doing his thing and being a leader on the team. And like, just because these kids are making money now doesn't mean there's not awesome stories out there. There's still awesome stories. There's still the love of the game. There's a handful of people that are in it straight for the money. But what you see majority of the time, especially at Ohio State, you're seeing a bunch of dudes out there that actually give a you-know-what and want to play hard and play for each other and play for the brotherhood. And so don't ever lose sight of that. I know these kids are making more money than we are, but don't lose sight of the fact that they still love the game. These young men still love being Buckeyes. And, they've got a great coach in Ryan Day who's really wrapping his hands around them and trying to make sure that they're setting them up for success.
Yeah, I mean, they run a 4.40 and I run a 4-minute 40. So I'm okay with them making more money than me to play football.
Yeah.
So yeah, as far as to kind of tie everything together, I know you've got some clips of the Jack, which we've talked about since January. So
yeah,
let's roll down that part of the show.
Yeah. So really quick, this will be a short one. All right. It won't be a long session, but last week you saw the Buckeyes actually implement one of the staples from Jim Knowles' defense when he was at Oklahoma State. And that was coming out with an odd front and playing the Jack hybrid linebacker defensive end. That guy was Mitchell Melton. You also saw CJ Hicks in there once. Another guy to keep an eye on, pay attention to the name for potentially being in that type of spot is Josh Mickens as well. I think there was a reason why he was out there. Obviously, he made some plays. I think he's going to get some more tick. And so those are the three guys I think you're going to see at that Jack position. But it started out with Mitchell Melton. And everybody talked about, well, when they went to this, they gave up a lot of yards. A lot of it was missed tackles. A lot of it was, this is the first time we've done it all season. And so we got to get it on film so we can see where we can, build off that foundation. So I'll share my screen. We're just going to watch a couple clips here. But I'm not going to lie to you, man. When I first saw it, I was geeked. I was so happy to finally see it. All right, here we go. Okay, so when we talk about the Jack, we talk about an odd front defense. When we say odd front, all right, that means there are three guys on the defensive line. Okay, so we've got Caden Curry, looks like Tywan Malone, could be wrong, and Kenyatta Jackson. One thing I want to point out when it comes to this defense specifically, all right, these are not the guys that are typically going to be in there up front when we are going to this look. This is likely going to be a big Tyleik Williams, which will be a major difference as the nose guard. And obviously with Jack and JT out on the edge, it's going to be a huge difference, okay? You look at this is really a 3-2 box. You see this more with like a true 3-4 defense with the linebackers over top of the guards. And then you've got the Jack, okay? The Jack is right here. This is Mitchell Melton. He has the ability to kind of roam around, okay? You'll see sometimes he lines up here inside, sometimes he lines up outside. They really want to move him around to mess with blocking schemes. One of the things that you will see the Jack do in the future is if he lines up here in what Jim Knowles calls a mug technique, all right, if he lines up right here, if this guard were to pull around, he is going to follow that guard, okay? Why is that important? Because this is hard to account for, okay? So if this guard is pulling, likely somebody is blocking down or they're blocking out. This is going to allow one of these linebackers to come free and be able to make the play. So it's one of the big benefits of having this jack position. So let's see how it goes the first play. You're going to see, he shows late here, okay? So it looks like he's an off-the-ball linebacker right now, but then he goes to pressure off the edge, all right? Now, Buckeyes do a really good job of getting pressure, okay? Do a really good job. What was the one thing Ryan Day said that we wanted to see from our defense? I want to see us getting pressure on the quarterback. The Buckeyes do a great job of collapsing that pocket. Oh, that's Caden McDonald at nose. Even better. Okay? Look at the rush that he gets.
Like those are the center back.
Yeah, and that's what you want to see from your nose guard. So the Buckeyes do a really good job of getting pressure. I would like to see Mitchell Melton really do a good job here of he's bursts off the edge, and you can see he's trying to squeeze it back, but that tackle does a pretty decent job of anchoring down. But nonetheless, we get pressure. Okay. Now, CJ Hicks, I love you. This has got to be a play you got to go make. Okay. This should be a pick six. You got to go make this play. You want to play more? Not a knock on you. You know I'm a big fan of you, CJ, but you got to go make this play. But you could see this is what we want. We want to see us get pressure. We want to force a quarterback to have to hit a check down like this. We almost get the sack. This kid makes a great play. He's able to get some yards out of it. All right, let's see it from this view. This gives you a better view of what this actually looks like. You see Mitchell Melton with his eyes outside. Okay, this would make you believe that he's not going to be a part of this run or the blocking scheme, right? He's looking for something outside. He could be dropping. He could be blitzing. That's the one thing we like about having the jack. It's a really good job of keeping him in the pocket. Kenyatta was half a step away from making a play. Gosh, got to make that play. Got to make that play. All right, so now come back out. Got the jack again. Looks like we're playing cover one behind it, which is man coverage, man coverage, man coverage, free safety deep. Sonny may be locked on this tight end right here. We'll see. Nope, they're bringing him off the edge. Now, again, I want you guys to look at this. Look, freaking Kenyatta Jackson, man. I'm sorry. He gets tackled right here, but this is the type of stuff I want to see. I want to see people just getting mauled, right? Now, that guy tackles him, but that's exactly what Kenyatta is supposed to do here. Okay, we get the guard pulling. We get this H-back pulling back around. This is something that I call counter single. So they're setting up, this way, and he's going to cut back. So it's just a counter. Now, I want you to notice, Joel Klatt and some others, when they switched to this, there were bad things that happened. In my opinion, this works out perfect. Cody Simon now, because of the things that we've done up front, is now free to the football. This is his play to make. Kenyatta Jackson did his job. I'd like to see CJ Hicks bench press this and work to get off and make a tackle. But nonetheless, Cody Simon, Sonny Styles, or that might be Caleb Downs. Can't really tell. We'll see it from the other view. No, it's Downs. Almost makes a play here. Cody Simon's got to make this tackle. Bottom line. If he makes this tackle, guess what? It's 3rd and 4. But he misses it. And what happens? They get a first down. Okay? So, is that the scheme? No. It's us not doing our job. All right? Mitchell Melton, when you're blitzing like this, okay, he is got to work to squeeze this back down. Okay, he's got to work to try to break down a little bit, squeeze it, fall back inside, and make the play. But you can see Cody Simon's free to the ball. Got to make that tackle. Yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, that's been an Achilles heel, to say the least.
Yes. I believe they said there were 18 missed tackles this game.
Wow.
And I think this will be the last clip that we see of it. Okay, so now we've seen 3 different alignments from Mitchell Melton. He's been back, all right, twice, and now he's up on the line of scrimmage, but the front hasn't changed. All right, the defensive ends are still lined up the way that they typically are. All right, he's just a +1 that's in a box. Again, looks like we're playing some version of cover 1. Again, now let's get to the other angle because it's going to be better. How he starts out is one of the things I love about this defense. All right. And he's going to end up moving out here. So you're already seeing the variety that you can get. When we talk about recruiting, when it comes to this position, you think of a kid like a Justin Hill who's going to Oregon. Like, these are the type of things that those freak of natures can do. Right. So that's the type of player that we want to see there. So we're moving around, giving them a different look. All right. They run a little bit of wide zone, wire split zone. Again, we got to get off blocks. We got to be able to go make a play. Okay, now would like to see CJ right here. Okay, he works downhill. I would like to see him press this harder this way. All right, get vertical, fall off, and make the tackle. All right, he just did it a little bit too late for me. Backside, I'm not really sure what Cody Simon was reading. All right, looks like he got his eyes into the backfield. Okay, Flo is moving this way. He should be moving this way as well. All right, we got Caleb Downs for the backside contain. We got Kenyatta Jackson for the backside contain. He should be really flowing this way and putting himself in a better position to go make this tackle. But because he steps down this way, now it allows 71 to get up on him. So, nope, we got one more play of it. Okay, so this will be the last play. Again, another different alignment from Mitchell Melton. It looks like we're playing cover 1 again. Mitchell Melton comes off the edge. Now, this is where we just need to do a better job with our run fits. Okay, we just need to do a better job with our run fits. If you take a look, CJ Hicks, he gets fooled, right? He gets fooled, eyes in the wrong spot. He ends up expanding back out this way. Creates a nice cutback lane. Oh my gosh.
Is that Caleb that shoots way up the...
Yeah. Yeah, it was. He came blitzing off the edge. Watch our guy right here, Cade McDonald. One of the reasons he's got to play. The vertical push that he's able to get, I mean, if he could just play more physical with his hands right here instead of playing with his shoulder, he probably gets off this block and makes his tackle. Okay, so again, were there some things that, that we didn't like from this? Absolutely. There were a couple things that we didn't like, but the promise is there. Okay, there are other fronts that you can show out of that look that will really help you with the inside run game and force them to have to spill the ball and run outside. And so I think you're going to see the Buckeyes really try to expand on that coming down this home stretch. This is a front that could be very beneficial to us against Indiana, especially with our starters out there. We've really got to find ways to get pressure on that quarterback, and I think this is a way that we can do it with getting one of our better pass rushers and Mitchell Melton on the field. So I'm excited about the jack position for sure.
As we should be. I mean, if you have the players to do it, it works. Now, yes, against the Big Ten teams, you do see a little more power running than Knowles saw at Oklahoma State, but Knowles isn't an idiot. He's going to modify and tinker and improve. So I think everybody hating on it has to kind of be real about it. Obviously, a name to keep in mind going forward next year for that position, is Keon Keeley. Just remember that. We've seen stranger things happen. Obviously, the goals for this week, like we've hit on, as far as on the field, stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to see somebody get a targeting, especially in the second half of the game. If you're going to get one, guys, get it in the first half. As bad as that sounds, obviously, but this is a classic trap game. There's a little aura around the stadium and everything, but all anybody's hearing is Indiana, Indiana, Indiana.
Yeah.
So, let's go in, do our thing, come out healthy, and get the dub.
Yep. So the most important thing, find a way to win these next 3 games. Set yourself up for the Big Ten championship. Hopefully it's a rematch with Oregon, but you can't do that if you don't beat Northwestern. So go out there, take care of business. Carnell Tate's homecoming. Go out there, ball out for that guy. I know how emotional he's going to be, and so I'm excited for this game, man. I really am. I'm excited to see the venue, what it looks like. A smaller crowd, probably the smallest crowd we'll ever see watch the Buckeyes.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so I think it's going to be a fun atmosphere, man.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I would be remiss if I did not also say, obviously we want the Buckeyes to win, but for my own personal enjoyment, I believe it's Clemson that I need to win. Because there is a scenario in which Miami does not make the ACC title game. Yeah. So for my own personal pleasure and for our in-house Miami fan who is hell-bent on getting an Ohio State-Miami game in the playoffs, and I ask him, why would you want to subject your program to getting broken again? Because Miami's not beating Ohio State, and that's not me being an Ohio State homer. Ohio State struggled against Nebraska, yes. Miami's basically struggled against everybody. So
yeah, their defense is just not that good.
And Georgia, Tennessee apparently has lost some of its luster this weekend.
Yeah.
Sounds like Nico's out. So, or at least questionable. So that's a must win for Georgia. So
yeah, for sure.
If you go get beat by not Nico, you don't deserve to be in the playoff.
Nope.
But yeah, with that said, I think that's all we've got for the Before the Battle edition. We will obviously see you guys for the opening drive. And as always, thank you. We'll get this posted up for you guys to listen to before the game. Yep. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, shoot them to us.
Yep.
And we will see you guys then.